Acheinu kol Beis Yisrael. Everybody, Baltimore, come on. Oh! Kol Beis Yisrael anisunim batzavoro ubashivya hoimdim bein bayom ubein bayavosho Acheinu kol Beis Yisrael Acheinu kol Beis Yisrael Hanesunim batzavoro ubashivya hoimdim bein bayom ubein bayavosho Hamakoy mirachim aleihem yoytziei mitzavoro levacho me'afel aliyoyro u'mishibo legeyola hashto bagolo bezman korid hamakoy mirachem rachem aleihem yoytziei mitzavoro levacho umea. Thank you, Tomer. Umeshibod. Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Leilu Nishmas Bas Mordechai. It's such a zechus to be here in Baltimore. Thank you so much for coming out. It's a tremendous chizuk. What a way to start the trip on the East Coast. You know, I was in Chicago for 5 days. I had a bar mitzvah there, my nephew, but I was worried, coming to the East Coast, what is it going to be like? Tomorrow I'm giving a shiur in a basement somewhere. Coming out here, the feeling of mishpacha, meeting so many people tonight, so many people introduced themselves. I have to say, this is the first time that literally 5 people came over to me and they said, my wife knew your mother, my mother-in-law knew your mother, I am your mother. Unbelievable. But Yishkoyach, thank you for coming out. The shiur, the way it is a effort of, first of all the people that listen to the shiur, all the people that schlep in friends to come listen and come join Torah, come get a free Gemara. You have Peretz Chaim Levin who drove in from Brooklyn to set up a table to convince, maybe I'll get another 10, 20 people. It's kedai. Every zechus for him is kedai. It doesn't matter how much he has to drive, how far. But when I come to Baltimore, the first thing you think about, of course, is Reb Fishel. Reb Fishel was with us from Brachas Daf Beis, all the way in the beginning when we were still in our infancy. He used to come with a taxi every day when he was in Eretz Yisrael, day after day, have the taxi parked outside of MDY. He wanted to see why did they build a building just for Daf Yomi? What's going on here? And he became a real partner. He's a person that doesn't stop for a second. You notice every day when we have a Mishnah, the official Mishnah, because he decided that MDY needs a little money. This is a great way to raise cash. He's going to give X amount of money for the rest of Shas. His name is going to be on every Mishnah. Then he had a brainstorm. Why don't we raise money when we turn the page? We'll call it turning of the daf. So now, Baruch Hashem, we limited it to 2 sponsors every time we turn the daf. The brainstorm of Fishel, because he's there to be marbitz Torah, to increase Torah. And then, Rabbi say, you're not going to believe this one. He doesn't stop pestering. But Eli, when are you going to do the official line? Every line is going to be the official line. I said, how much, Fishel? $100,000 a Masechta. I said, no way. $250, now we're talking. So now we're in discussions now. The official line, Simen Movie, Kamiflige, the official line, that's how he wants it to be. But Rabbi say, seriously, here's a person that used his ingenuity. Is that a real word? It's a Panovich word. He doesn't stop thinking of ways how to increase Torah in Klal Yisrael. In fact, I don't know, I said it yesterday without his reshus, I'll say it again today without his reshus. Fishel is donating $100,000 to Masechtas Ksubas to give other people in Klal Yisrael a chance to learn Torah. It's unbelievable. I think that deserves a round of applause. The other thing, so you're talking about Fishel, but MDY is a whole group of people behind the scenes. Tonight we have with us, he flew in all the way from Eretz Yisrael, Gary Ben Moshe, right over here, the tech guy. All the way in the back, in the left corner, the last guy on the left, Tomer Levy, always sits in the back left corner, flew in from Eretz Yisrael, standing up. He's our executive director. And we also have with us Avi Kamiansky, one of the Bowman brothers, also flew in from Eretz Yisrael just to be here tonight. So, Yishkoyach. Yishur Koyach. I met somebody, I don't know if he could come up here, but to me it was a tremendous zechus to learn that Cantor David Newman might be one of our oldest members. At the ripe young age of 94, he is doffing away day after day. Get over here. I don't know if he could come, get over here. Bring him from over here. It is unbelievable. No, Rabbi Isai. Yeah, I'll go to him. You don't say get over here to a 94-year-old. Shalom Aleichem. You're a cantor?
Yes.
Could you do the good morning, Rabbi Isai? Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's what I can do.
Okay, Givaldi. How long are you doing this year with us?
About a couple of years.
Couple of years?
Yes.
When you're ripe old, 92.
I think somewhere about there. By the way,
Yeah.
I tell you, I see you every day on the screen.
Yeah.
I get great zechus seeing you in person.
Shkoyach.
And what you do, your learning gives me greater emphasis in my other learning areas.
Wow. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Shkoyach. Here, take it the whole oila, maybe. One round of the whole. Of the beautiful tzibur here in Baltimore. Unbelievable crowd. Yishkoyach to Fishel again for all the food, the very tasty dinner that we had before. There's good food out there, Rabbi Isai? Good food. All right, we don't have that much time for emails, but we'll do them anyways. Dan Moshkowitz says, I'm away to Toronto Siyum, because I'm going to be in Toronto Be'ezer Hashem on Sunday. So he's doing like a 5-day trip to Toronto, seeing the Neflois Habar on the way, road tripping from Calgary to Toronto. Got this great shot learning in one of Canada's national parks on the edge of Lake Superior. It's a struggle to learn with our reception in Canada's north, but the effort makes it feel so much sweeter when getting the days daf in Idan. What else do we have here? Ooh, this is a long one. Oh, but nevertheless, we have to say, have to read it. We are 3 high school boys, because when high school boys learn Yevamos, it's a tremendous, tremendous thing. From the UK, we started learning the daf with you. 2 of us started at Moikatan, 1 at Sukkah. None of us has ever missed the daf, except the PG ones. Okay? And together brought several classmates to the daf as well. We're so enthralled and encouraged that we decided together to work back on the Masechtas that we haven't done yet. We now learn every night together. Because of you, we have started to fit more learning to our daily routine, even with all the schoolwork which we have had recently. After all, it's not about the daf, it's about the Yomi. I'm so proud of these guys. We'd really love to come to New Jersey to the next major siyum. Rabbi Isai, I believe that everybody here should get in a car and come to New Jersey. It's going to be a maimed of Kiddush Hashem like you've never seen before. The feeling, the one that we did in, if it's anything like Ramat Bet Shemesh, but this is going to be even bigger and better. I was on cloud 9 for like a month later. It's Kedai. I'm telling you, it's Kedai. We'd really love to come to. There are people here, by the way, that drove in from New York to be here for the shir, so you guys could drive from here to go to New Jersey. It's only 2.5 hours or something because of you. And if Gershon Ben Moshe drives you, it's 1.5 hours. So we'd really love to come to New Jersey for the next major siyum. You tell me them, Ari, Eli, and Tzvi. P.S. Please don't read this out loud. Daniel Rubinoff. Hi, Rebelli. Sorry I'm going to be missing the big siyum in New Jersey, but Amir Hashem enjoying the one in RBS. I met Mayor Planka from Toronto. Be'ez Hashem, we'll see him there, I hope. Kever Ashbi Miron. We are part of the MDY family. Best regards, Dan Rubinoff. And here's a picture of the Siyum Manchester, the All Daf Siyum in Manchester. The MDY All Daf Siyum in Manchester. All right. If I could read this without my glasses. The Parnas HaChodesh for the Koil is Leilu Nishmas Zechari Ben Moshe. Parnas HaChodesh, number 1 by the Lock and Lebovic family is Lakewood New Jersey because Torah is the best segula. Parnas HaChodesh number 2, Refuah Shilayma for Yevamos Aviya Bas Shivruchaya. Parnas HaChodesh 3, the MDY family Nishmas Shimshon Weiss. Shimshon ben Meshulam Dov Rochel. Parnas HaChodesh number 4 as a zechus for our children to be kadosh, safe, healthy, and happy. And know Hashem loves them. Today's sponsor, Elana Price, in honor of Fishel. SarahLee, Simcha, Margie Gross, and the Torah Gross family for all that they do to support and enhance Torah learning for all of Klal Yisrael. By David Dimbert, in honor of the wedding of Joseph Dimbert and Rochel Leah Friedman. I was asking about him. How come you're not there in Chicago? He made a wedding, so Mazel Tov. Thank you. They should be zechus to build a Weiss Nembe Yisrael. And by Jonathan Babakov, Leilu Nishmas, Micha Bas, Miriam. By Lauren and Sarah Dietza Spiegelman, in honor of the engagement of their daughter, Devorah Ariel Markus from Toronto. Mazel Tov, Lauren. See, I have to read these things in order to know that he made an engagement. Wow. You guys know who Lauren is, right? Yeah. He sits on the table every day. By Peretz Chaim Levin, a big Koyach to Fishel for Peretz Chaim. Get over here. If you're in the room, for all that he does, MDY, he's outside giving out Gemaras, for his years of friendship to me and my family, for being partially responsible for me joining this year. You're partially responsible for getting him, so every guy that he gets, you get dividends. Come here, without knocking over the camera. Yishkoyach or Peretz Chaim, you're a tzaddik. I love you. You drove all the way from Brooklyn to give out Gemaras over here? Unbelievable. How many guys did you sign up? Maybe 30 people. 30 people? You mean there's more people that never saw the shir than... Okay. Wow. Hi. Eli Stefansky. Shalom Aleichem. Okay. Shkoyach. Wow. Big zechus. You know, everybody could be a Peretz Chaim Levin. It doesn't have to be him. You can get one guy, your neighbor, that doesn't learn Torah or learns Torah, but a Shvacha Magichir or something. Bring him on. You know what I'm saying? Okay. We are starting from a brand new Mishnah, which means it's like a brand new Sugya. Daf Kuf Chof Aleph, which means we are only 2 dapim away from the end of the Masechta. It's unbelievable. It's a beautiful, beautiful daf. It's very, very geschmack. And if this is your first day in Yevamos, no, this doesn't represent Yevamos. This is more of an Agadah Gemara. Says the Mishnah, Nafal lamayim, if a person drowned, bein sheyesh lam soif, whether you could see the outskirts of the banks of the water, bein she'ein lam soif, whether the water just keeps on going, ishtoi asura. We're going to see a peladik thing. There's a very, very beautiful idea here in the Mishnah, and that is that when Chachamim establish a halacha, it has an effect on nature, on the metzius, on the fact. Chachamim did us a favor in a way by them saying, we're going to see it throughout the sugya today, by them saying that a woman is asur to get married, we cannot assume that her husband is dead by drowning. That enables people to escape drowning. Because if Chachamim would have paskined that she could get married right away, so in essence what they're saying is that somebody that drowns in the water, he's dead on the spot. So in Metzias, he would die right away. By Chachamim saying that she's asur, they're telling nature that, hey, this guy has a chance. That's what the Achronim speak about. There's a guy that fell into a great pit full of water, but he came up after 3 days. So you see that you could survive 3 days. The Gemara is going to discuss, was he submerged? I mean, the Gemara doesn't really discuss it, but we're going to come out with some sort of idea what happened over here. There was a blind man who went into a cave. He had a shadow, he had somebody that accompanied him, and they both went into the cave. They have, I'm a diver also, there's something called cave diving. It's probably the most dangerous, definitely the most dangerous diving you could do, but it's beyond that. It's one of the most dangerous things a human being can do. But anyway, they go in there to dive, maybe without the equipment in those days, and they didn't come out. So they start counting, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 20 minutes. How long could they be submerged and survive? They said their wives could get married. Here again is a very bad example of during Shiva, as the wives are sitting Shiva for their husbands, they come and read a shidduch for the wives. Hey, you know, your husband just died. What a tragedy, terrible. But I have a very good shidduch for you. What do you say? And then the Mishnah says, V'hisus nishisem. Immediately after Shiva, they got married. That's my own little pshat, but it just reminded me of a Ma'aseh Shahaya. I just said it last week, but I hope I didn't say it in Shir. I told somebody this, a true story. My next door neighbor, Leilu, lost his 20-year-old son 2 years ago. Something like that, like 2 years ago. And he told me that during Shiva, a guy came over to him and asked him, does your son, did he eat a lot of burekas? Because burekas could cause heart attacks. People say the most ridiculous things during Shiva, and it's probably not a good idea to read Shidduchim either during Shiva. So this is the amazing story that we had yesterday, where they lowered a guy off the ship, they tied some sheets to his leg, and they lowered him down. And they said, go fetch whatever pearls you see down there, and they're holding him tight, don't worry, we'll pull you up. Before they were able to pull him up, comes a shark and eats most of his body, but he left the leg tied to the rope. So now they pull up the rope, and lo and behold, their friend is gone, but he left them his shoe and part of his leg. So the halacha will also be other ela ragli. Amru chachamim min arkuva lemala tinasei. Depends. If it's a fatal wound, it's a wound that's going to cause treifa above the knee. So we could assume he's dead. How long exactly you have to wait? Because a treifa could survive 12 months. It's a nidain. Could she get married immediately the next day, or she has to wait 12 months? I mean, she can never get married right away. She has to wait three months anyway. But 3 months, 12 months, okay. But she can get married based on the foot. Imagine if the foot didn't come up, then we'd be if haktat tzaris, because maybe it's Mayim Shein Lam Soif, and maybe he found a submarine or something, or a tuna, and he got out of there. But now that we have his leg, we know that he sustained a very major injury, and Memela, he could get married. But if the wound was below the knee, then she can't get married because perhaps he survived. So we have a pretty big daf here with a lot of words, so we have to pick up pace a little bit. Fall into water that you can't see the edges, or you could see the edges. If you could see the edges, so it's less of a chiddush because where is he? He didn't show up. I don't know if I said the story, but I'll say it again. I was a 12-year-old kid. I was in a camp, and we were doing this trip in Israel called Nachal Yehudia. And we're in Nachal Yehudia, and there's a 12-meter, I think, waterfall. Most people, they come from the top, and they jump into the water, and they swim across this body of water. But because we were younger, we were like 12 years old, they didn't want us jumping, so they wanted us to go across the water. They didn't think it through very well because everybody was very thirsty. Some kids dehydrated, they fainted, and a lot of us didn't know how to swim across this big body. It's a large body of water. So anyways, this guy on top, he was yeshiva bacher, his name was Maimon, and he goes, Achad, Shtayim, Shalosh, jumped in, and he never came out. And here's the whole camp, and we're watching, and we're counting, where is he? And he never surfaced. And we realized that he's dead. He's under the water, and it was a terrible, terrible tragedy. And they had to bring the army, and they had to bring the body out, and we're all watching this as 12-year-olds. Whatever. Don't send your kids to that camp in Eretz Yisrael. I'm sure it doesn't exist anymore. But it was Mayim Sheyesh Lem Soif. It was a body of water the size of this room, let's say. There was edges. You could see that the guy didn't come out. It was obvious that he's not alive. That where is he? He jumped from the top of the waterfall, and where is he? I don't know. Ask Avi, is that thing still open these days? Where's Avi? Is Avi Kamiansky here? Do they still have that Nachal Yehudia? Because sometimes they close it down. So. Sometimes it's a very dangerous place. Anyway, been closed for years. Okay. Dir Meir. Bechachamim ma'imrim ma'im shesh lem soif ishtei muteres v'she'ein lem soif ishtei asura. Chacham say, if it has no edge, then maybe the guy got out somewhere. You don't know. Like Yaina, they grabbed him and finished. Shalom Yisrael. Hey Chidami, I brought that story, true story. The guy in Australia, I think it was Australia, the shark, whale shark swallowed him alive and then spit him out somewhere. So you're not going to see that. It's going to be 2 miles later. Hey Chidami, what does it mean? If you stand in one place, you can see all 4 sides. That's Eilem Soif. Ahu Gavra, the Tova Ba'agmo de Samke. There was a man who drowned in the swamp. Antzava Rav Shila Dvisu, so Rav Shila said his wife could get married. Omalei Rav Lishmuel, the famous duo Rav and Shmuel, the Gadol Adar in Bavel Rav, tell Shmuel, Tonishamte, let's put this Rav Shila in Cherem. What business does he have saying that his wife could get married based on drowning in a swamp without recovering the body? Omalei, says Shmuel, slow down. Before you put him in Cherem, let's see. Let's be down the kaf schoser. Nishlach liberation. Let's ask him what happened. Shochule. So they asked him. This swamp is not unlimited. It's not an ocean. It has borders. So what do you say? What's Allah and Mayim Shalem Soif? So he says, Shalach Lu Ishtay Asura. Asur. I'm getting you. No, and what do you say about this body of water, this swamp? So according to Rav Shila right now, this agam is ein lo soif, and ein lo soif is asur. So then why did you say the wife is mutter? I got you. Umar, my time over the hachi. You know what he said? Mita ta'ina. I made a mistake. You can make an honest mistake. A guy came over to me tonight. I don't know if he's here. I hope he's not here anymore. He said, I used to watch your share. I don't watch your share anymore. He said this and this and this once in an email. I said, I'm sorry. I don't remember what you're saying, but it wasn't right what you said. Okay, I'm sorry. Especially me. I told him. I said, I don't have a filter, really. And the fact that I'm only saying these things once every 6 months or once every 2 days is a big chiddush. Cut me some slack. People make mistakes. I thought, I'm explaining my mistake. I thought that since the water is gathered, it's a swamp. Swampland. You go to Florida, there's swamps over there. So it's K'mayim sheyesh lem soif dami. I thought that, there's no waves. So if a guy goes in over here, how is he going to get out, 2 miles later? There's no waves. So, v'lohi, what my mistake was? Kivindik gale, but there are waves. You know why? Because the wind comes and it makes waves, etc. Eimu galia ashpelu. So maybe, they asked Rabbi Yitzchak inspector, the Gal Adar. They said, there's a Rav, he made a terrible, terrible mistake in halacha. We need to fire him. So Rabbi Yitzchak wrote back that Rav is right. It's not a mistake in halacha. He was right. So wow, he's right. And then 2 days later, they got a letter from Yitzchak Chanan. No, I made a mistake. He's wrong. He wanted to show them that Rabbanim make mistakes. It's possible. So the Rav made a mistake. So because he made a mistake, you're going to fire him? Rav Shila made a mistake. And for that, Rav wanted to put him chayrim. So Kari Shmuel alei the Rav, lo yu'una l'tzadik alaven. Rav almost made a boo-boo here. Rav almost made the mistake. Forget Rav Shila. Rav Shila made a mistake in halacha. But Rav almost made a mistake that he almost put Rav Shila in chayrim for no reason without finding out and seeing that he did tshuva. He felt bad that he made a mistake. So Rav was saved. Lo yu'una, nothing bad is going to happen to the tzaddik. Kari Rav alei the Shmuel, and Rav then said a pasuk to Shmuel, Ushua b'Rav Yoyetz, and my salvation, who saved me? The Yoyetz, Shmuel. Tanya, Omar Rebbe. Shmak sugis Rabbi Yisai. Maisa b'shnei b'nei adam mechamrim mechmorim b'yarden. There were two people that were putting out nets in the Yarden, in the Jordan River. And one of them went into some sort of cave where the fish hang out. And the sun went down. This reminds me again the story that happened in Thailand, I think it was. Where was it? Like 3 years ago. 13 boys and a coach, soccer team, they go into a cave. They're looking around the cave. All of a sudden, a storm, water starts coming by, and they got stuck. And they couldn't go back into the cave, right? They got stuck in a room. And the whole world was thinking, what's going on with them? Are they dead? Are they alive? And they survived how many days? Like 2 weeks almost, no? Whatever it was, 2 weeks. Something meshuga. They were just drinking water that was dripping off the ceiling of the cave. It's mamish like this. They go into some mechila shel dagim, and all of a sudden they don't know how to get out. And everybody decided that they're dead. What would you do? You come home and you hear that they're making a big hesped in your house. I would wait outside and listen to the whole hesped, see what they're saying. The guy goes in. They say, I don't know if it's 100% true, but I heard this a while ago that the Nobel Prize, I don't remember the guy's name, is Alfred, Siegfried, whatever the names were, these goyim, the guy that invented dynamite, one day they decide, this is the rumor, I don't know if it's true, Ayin Sham, he read in an obituary about they thought his brother died, but they thought it's the inventor of the dynamite that died. So they wrote a whole thing. What a Russia, what a jerk. He caused so much death and pain in the world. And there he is reading his own obituary. He couldn't believe what the world is saying about him. So right then and there, he decided to do the Nobel Prize and give out millions of dollars and give all his nechasim away. But it happens, yeah. A guy comes home and he hears a hesped about himself. They're being masped him because everybody was sure that he's dead. Again, we're talking about, is it possible for somebody to survive different situations? And how sure are you that this person is dead? It's not over. It ain't over till it's over. But in certain situations, when we see a lion ripping at the guy's head like we had yesterday, or certain bodies of water that's not possible, or even in bodies of water, a doctor came over to me afterwards. I still forgot the name. Look it up. It's called diving reflex. It's possible to survive underwater for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is. If the body is cold and the body shuts down and you don't fight it and you don't drink the water, then the body goes like almost semi-unconscious, soda, and gives a little, look it up, there's a certain syndrome. So it's possible to survive. So a guy was there for 15, 20 minutes, it's impossible he's alive. Okay, his wife is mutter to get married. Not true. Maybe it is possible. Maybe he found a little cave. Maybe this, maybe that, we don't know. Yachi. Omar Rebbe, Kama Gdoilim Divrei Chacham Shamru. And this is what these Achrayim are pointing out. Look how great the words of Chachamim are. So the simple meaning is, look, they chap that not everybody dies in the water. But according to these Achrayim, Kama Gdoilim Divrei Chachamim, the Chachamim established a rule in the world by them saying, the Belzer Chassid told me that the Belzer Rav, or one of the Belzer Rebbe, the Friedeker Rebbe, however they call him, he paskin that when you go on a plane, you don't say agoimel. Why? Because to establish a rule that it's not a sakana. You should know it's not a sakana. It really isn't a sakana. But that's a different story. So they established a rule in nature. They don't necessarily die right away from water. Shamru. It depends what kind of water. So if a guy gets lost in a big body of water, you can't establish that he's dead. So in a big ocean, how come we're not concerned? Maybe he found some hole somewhere and he has oxygen. Because it's not so common to find those kind of the fish. Some explain the fish create these holes or whatever. So if it's a smaller body of water, they created larger bodies of water. Not. Amar Ravashi. So the Gemara says there's an afkamina between a Talmud Chacham and a regular person. Why? The solid colorless light. When a Talmud Chacham pops out, imagine a gadol comes out. Oh, everybody starts talking about it. Rumors before WhatsApp, before internet. Things traveled only certain times. So if it's a simple person, nobody cares. But a Talmud Chacham, everybody knows about. The Gemara says no. It doesn't matter who it is. Do you have it in? So if she went ahead and she got married, fine, we're not going to make her get divorced. But we don't tell her she could get divorced. She could get married. Rabbi Sai, this is a very, very famous Gemara. The Meir Shapiro used this when he's trying to convince Klal Yisrael to do Daf Yomi. We have a tremendous Hakaras HaTov to Meir Shapiro. One man, one idea. One of the most powerful ideas that Klal Yisrael ever had. And he used this Gemara. Pamachas, I have no charts today. For whatever reason. Let's just say I was flying and the plane got delayed and then canceled and went to another gate. And then Fishel said, I don't have time to prepare. So this is the only chart I was able to pull up. My favorite chart. Who's Rav Gamliel? Rav Gamliel is the great-grandson of Hillel HaZaken. You have Hillel HaZaken, Reb Shimon, Gamliel HaZaken, Reb Shimon Gamliel, Rav Gamliel. Fine. Pamachas ho'isi mahalar b'svino v'ro'isi svino achas shenishbara. I'm in a ship, and I look over and I see a broken vessel. V'o'isi mitztar al tamid chachim sheba. I take a look, and it says on it, I don't know, Titanic or whatever, I noticed the name, and I know that on that ship is the Gadol Adar Umanu Rebbe Akiva. He's going down. He's drowning. So I'm very bitzar. Rebbe Akiva is no longer with us. Suddenly, all of a sudden, Shalom Aleichem. Here he is. He's talking to me and learning. What happened? Amarti loy b'ni mi'elcha. How'd you get out of there? Amarli daf shel sfinon is damenli. A board from the ship was floating by. And I grabbed onto it. No. Doesn't get any better than this. One day before the end of the Masechta, you grab onto the daf, saves you. V'chol gal v'gal shabolai na'aneti lo b'roishi. I want to elaborate a little bit more, maybe by the siyum. But every wave that came by, I ducked the wave, and I went weiter, and I was saved. Says Rameir Shapiro, saved by the daf, the Torah. The Torah is what saved me. All right, Be'ez Hashem, we'll schmooze a little bit more about it. Mikan Amru Chachamim, im yavoy Rishoyim al Adam. When you get attacked by a Rasha, Yenana lo Rochel, like the gal, the enemy comes, so you duck. You don't go head to head with it. Amarti b'Yisrael, Kamagdoilim Divri Chachamim. I already wrote off Rebbe Kiva. I was certain that he was dead. Sha'amru Mayim sheyesh lahem soiv muteres, Mayim she'ein lahem soiv asura. And over here you have a case where he actually survived. Tanya, Omer Rebbe Kiva, Pamachas Oisi Mahalach b'Sfina. Another very similar story. Now this time it's Rebbe Kiva. Veroisi svino achas shemitorefes bayam. I saw a boat about to go down. Voisi mitzar Talmid Chacham sheba. I was very bitzar about a Talmid Chacham that was on the boat. Umanu Rebbe Meir. Kshalisi lemedinas kapoitikio. Ba ve'yosef don lefon ve'alocha. Shalom aleichem Rebbe Meir. What are you doing here? I thought you died in the ocean. Amarti loi bini mi elcha. How'd you get here? Same story, same lashon. One wave passed me over to the other wave, and another one to until he was spit out to dry land. Now the question is, why did Rebbe Kiva ask him, B'ni mi elcha? It happened to Rebbe Kiva, the story right before. Rebbe Kiva had the same situation, and he was saved by a daf. So what is he asking Rebbe Meir? Okay, Mistama, you grabbed onto a daf and you were saved. But Rebbe Meir doesn't answer that he had a daf. Rebbe Meir says he had a wave got him. So perhaps the answer is that it was a little bit different. Rebbe Kiva's ship broke up. It says by Rebbe Kiva that his boat broke up completely, and he grabbed onto a daf. But by Rebbe Meir it doesn't say that. It says mitorefes, and that the entire ship went down. So it's possible there was nothing to hold on to, and therefore Rebbe Meir was Rebbe Kiva was nispal. He said, I saw your ship going down. I didn't see any survivors. I didn't see any wood that you could grab. I saw a whole ship go down. So Rebbe Meir said, you're right. It's a much bigger chiddush. I actually had to swim the waves. I didn't have a flotation device. But we'll have to explain it a little bit better. What's a gal? Sometimes you have to duck under a gal. Sometimes you ride the gal. When there's borders and you don't see the person surviving, his wife is mutter. There's no end. You don't never know when he's going to come out. And therefore, the ship, this happened obviously in open waters in the ocean, and you see survival of Rebbe Meir and Rebbe Kiva. Tanu Rabbana. Nafal goy v'aroyos ein mi'idin olav. There was, I don't know, this is not so much, you don't have to laugh, this is not so much for Baltimore, but this is for the Olam in New York. Say this, this guy's going to yell at me that I have no filter, but I can't, it's whatever. If you think it's inappropriate, let me know. We'll erase it later. But there was seminary girls who are in the zoo in Eretz Yisrael, and they wanted to know when there's going to be the lion feeding. When are they going to feed the lions? So they asked the guy, Slicha, Mataya Gili Arayos. All right, so who said it? That's what I said. Brooklyn doesn't count. Okay. Tell those Bachrim that wrote me the email they shouldn't listen to that one. Okay, fine. All right. So where were we? So we have over here the lions. This one guy over there in the left side, he loves the good morning. He's listening to it over and over. Kilo like I don't hear it. Okay, whatever. Huh? If he fell into the lion's den, you cannot testify that he is dead. Now, I'll just tell you from my own experience, not my own experience. I never really jumped into the lion's den. But lions in general, they don't eat people. It's not a thing. Now, if a lion is very hungry or very sick and old, that's a different story. But a lion, if you bump into a lion in the jungle, chances are he's probably going to take a left turn and book out of there. I'm just saying. Now, if they threw him into a goyva rois, they threw him into a pit with hungry lions, that's a different story. That's like Daniel and the goyva rois, that's something else. You can't get out of there. They probably didn't feed these lions in 6 days. They're going to eat you. No, it's a pasuk in the Torah that says that lions are scared. All animals are scared. It's a pasuk in Bereshis. Now, if it's full of snakes and scorpions, by the way, in this week's parasha we have the nechashim that came for Lashon Hara. The snakes bite even when they're not hungry. They're going to attack. Especially if you're in a tight space with them, they're going to attack. Rabbi Yehuda, so therefore you could assume the guy's dead. You can't assume that a guy is dead just because he fell in there. Why? 120 daf into Mesechtes Yevamos, Kuf Aleph Amud Beis, Shema Chaberu. Maybe he's a snake whisperer. That's the Lashon Rashi says. He knows how to tame snakes. Rabbi say, could all thank Fishel for this one. Sponsored by Moshe Horn in honor of Rabbi Tzvi Medetsky, the only Rebbe, he came up with this. That's Fishel's Hamtzah. The only Rebbe that was actually good at basketball. Sponsored by Nisano, Latzlocha Ruchni and Gashmi from Ranakash for introducing me to MDY. Vitanakama. How much time do we have? When do we start? Shalom Aleichem. How are you? Huh? For real? 5 minutes for 45 minutes or for an hour? Okay. When you step on a snake, it's not a very good idea. So since he's in a small little pit, usually the pits are small for the snakes. The lions are in wider places. Doesn't mean you're stepping on his head. But a snake, you're going to step on him, so he'll attack. He fell into a fiery pit. You could assume that he's consumed by the fire. A boiling pot of wine or oil, he's going to not make it. Oil, he's not going to make it. Because even the oil that spills on the sides, I'm not exactly sure how this works, this sugya. I would assume that boiling oil, and Rashi says, his body goes into a shock that he can't jump out. He doesn't have a chance. If a person falls in, you think, okay, jump right out. You get third-degree burns. But no, his body just, he gets a shock and he can't get out. And then just keeps on getting worse and worse. But oil that spills off the side, let's say he jumps in here and the oil spills to the side, it's going to ignite the fire more and it's going to be worse for him. You could survive hot wine. I don't know how hot, but hot. Because when he jumps in, the wine spills over the surface of the kli and puts out the flames. Not true. Yes, it might go out for a second, but then it'll come back with revenge and it will kill him. And he came out, the Mishnah says, a story, a guy fell, and he came out 3 days later. Okay, Yosef HaTzadik also fell into a pit full of nechashim and krabim and he survived. We're not talking about nisim. Don't talk about nisim. Let's talk about natural happenings. What is the halacha? My ma'isa nisim. Why do you consider that a nace? That he fell in and he survived 3 days? If it's because he didn't eat or drink, Esther. She's telling everybody, fast for me for 3 days. So it's possible to starve yourself for 3 days and not die. What happened was he wasn't able to sleep for 3 days. He's treading water for 3 days. That's impossible that you die from. If a person says, I swear that I'm not going to sleep for 3 days, because since it's impossible, and he's over Issa de Raisa for making a shvuah shop, you give him a zet, you give him Malkus, and he could go to sleep right away because it's impossible not to sleep for 3 days. I remember the sugi over there, we were talking about this guy, Blaine. I don't know, he stays up for days upon days, more than 3 days. So we're talking about it then. I don't remember, don't quote me at all, but I think one of the shatim that we had there was not that it's impossible to stay up. A person is going to fall asleep. Not that it kills you if you are up for 3 days. If a person is up for more than 3 days, it doesn't mean that you're going to die from it, like the Gemara, it seems like from the Gemara. It just means that it's impossible because your body is going to close down and fall asleep. Why is it not considered a nace, according to Rameir? There's little ledges over there. In this Bar Gadol, he was able to grab onto something, and therefore he survived. But they were very slippery, made out of marble. He couldn't grab onto it. It doesn't say in the Gemara that he has to sleep 8 hours. It says that in the 3 days he has to sleep. No. So maybe he chapped a dremel, like that guy over there, for 10 seconds. No, just pointing in general. Not just... Masach v'nayim purta. Eli, I wasn't sleeping. I was just a little bit. I was chapping a 10-second dream. Okay. Torah about a ma'aseh b'bita shel nechunya chayfer shichin. Unbelievable story. Rabbi say, you have here a gadol shebegdolim. How do I know he's a gadol shebegdolim? The Gemara says that this was a very, very chosh of a man. But what did this chosh of a man do? He used to dig ditches for a living for Klal Yisrael. So the Klal Yisrael should have water when they oil the regel. So what do you see? Doesn't matter how great you are, doesn't matter how chashav you are, doesn't matter how long your frak is. You go out and you dig a bar for Klal Yisrael. An incredible story happened. His own daughter, fell into one of the boiros that he himself dug for Klal Yisrael. He took off from his seder of learning. He's a gadol, b'Torah and everything, and he took off a seder to dig a big pit. And in the pit falls his daughter. The famous Chanina ben Doisa, the Melumid Benisim, Kav Shechruvim, Chanina Beni, the whole world survives because of Chanina Beni, and Chanina Beni only eats a little bit of boxer, how do you say boxer in English? Carib. Always had unbelievable Nisim throughout Shas. Shari Shainon, if this Gemara sounds familiar, because I believe we learned it a number of times from the beginning of Shas, from Brachas till here, we had at least once before. Shari Shainon Amarlem Shalom. So they said, no, where is she? Don't worry about it, she's going to survive. Shalom. Shni Amarlem Shalom. He came back a little bit later, she's alive. Shlishes Oivei. He sees that you can't survive that long. In water, Amarlem also. No, don't worry about it. She came out. Amarla Biti Mielech. How'd you get out? Amarloi. Zechus Rochelim. There was a male sheep. Nizdamali. V'zokim manhigoi. Avraham Avinu himself took her out. Why? Because Avraham Avinu, when he sacrificed Yitzchak, he gave Klal Yisrael a zechus of Tchias HaMeisim, of saving. Could you imagine? Thousands of years ago, a man did an unbelievable act, Akedas Yitzchak, and that act survives all the generations. It's unbelievable. Yeah? You do an act now, you don't know what you are doing today. When you do a certain Maisa Chesed, a certain Maisa, whatever it is, Fishel, you hear? Talking to you. You don't know what kind of ramifications it has on the next generation and then 3 generations. They say a Fishel's grandson became a Rosh Hashiva. Why? Because There's a certain ma'isa that he did, a certain thing that this. It's unbelievable. Yeah, it's for us to. It's not only Avram Avinu. Yeah, it was an unbelievable act, and we're not comparing the act, but that act lasts for all the generations. We once discussed another thing, that because Yitzchak sacrificed himself, so Klal Yisrael is able to be Mekadashim Shomayim. A lot of Yidden over the generations jumped into the fire, Xeris Tachtat in Auschwitz and all these things. No, I'm not going to do it. Kill me. Because of that one mice of Yitzchak Avinu sacrificing himself. Says the Gemara, incredible. Amrullah, Noviyata. How did you know that she survived? It's a borrowed language from the Navi. No, you don't have to be a Navi to know this, he says. This is common sense. Does it make any sense to you? And you see his side there also. I mean, I don't know how you can use this, but each person can use it on his own. It doesn't make sense that Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to punish the Chayfer Shichin, the one who digs for Klal Yisrael. He's going to kill his daughter in that pit that he dug? It's impossible. That is impossible. So he said, I don't have to be a Navi. I know that it's impossible. Nevertheless, his own son died from thirst. So what does that mean? Well, first of all, he didn't die in the pit. That is impossible. In a pit that I dig for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for Klal Yisrael, to kill my child in that pit is impossible. That doesn't make any sense. But yes, I do dig pits to have liquid and water for Klal Yisrael. My son died from liquid deprivation. Why? His son. Why? It's a midah keneged midah l'chayra. Because he probably didn't dig or whatever it was. That I saw this once, I don't know where, a while back, that he was lazy once or didn't dig and Klal Yisrael, when they were coming up a Leah Regal, didn't have water at that place. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu paid him, even though it's very, very darkistic. That's what the Gemara says now. Very turbulent. When you're around HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when you're that close, it's more and more turbulent. The closer you get to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the wilder it is. So you see again, he was from the greatest. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to take care of him and be medaktik and be makbid on him so that all his einshim come in this world, and that nothing's left for him in Olam Haba. He goes straight to Gan Eden. Reb Chanina Omar Ma'acha Eil Narod Besoid Kedoshim Rabba. Narod, dreaded Besoid Kedoshim. I'm just quoting from the Art Scroll. Great counsel. Rabba, great. V'noira al kol svivav. Okay, so whoever's next to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the closer you are, he's going to be more makbid. Says the Fishel Mishnah, sponsored by the MDY Tehillim group. Zechus Shiduchim Refuah Yeshuas. I'm saying this Balpeh. Join MDYTehillim.com. Says the Mishnah. Now we're doing a little bit of a 180. It seems like, not really, but until now we're talking about women that cannot testify, could testify. Now we're saying, at the end of the day, even children can testify, even women. It doesn't matter if you hear they didn't even testify. You were on the bus and you overheard a woman saying, "Oh, you heard so and so's husband died." That's it. I take that to the bank. Now the woman can get married. The kids in the cheder, they're saying, "Oh, Pliny died." Oh, we're going to the Levaya. Whether they want to say it like a testimony, it was just Mesiach Lefi Tumam, Mikabel. If he's Jewish, and if he insists to testify. And the Gemara is going to describe a little bit. If a guy comes along, you can't trust him. Maybe he wants to be Mekalkel, the wife. Says the Gemara, maybe these kids in Cheder, they're saying, oh, let's go to the funeral of so-and-so. Maybe they never went. Maybe it never happened. You're right. That we are concerned it might not have happened. But they said, we just came back from the funeral. I love this kasha. Vidilma kim tzabalma. Maybe they went to a funeral of a grasshopper. This is the Gemara saying. In other words, kids were playing. They, these Bnei Baraki kids, they took their legs out of the grasshopper. They killed it slowly. They put it on a little aron, and they said, and they did a whole fake kids levaya. And then they got on the bus and said, oh, what a terrible levaya. Wow, Givaldik Hesped the guy made. And what do they call him? They called him Rabbi Friedman. They called the grasshopper a name. Now this Chacham Batata singing behind them. Ooh, Rabbi Friedman's nifter. Ooh, he goes to his wife. Oh, you can get married to anybody you want. They're talking about a grasshopper. Frek the Gemara. V'dimah kam tzabal m'shachalei ba'sikulei al shmei. I'm not making this is a Gemara. The Kamri came Rabbanan Havasam because they describe which Rav gave the Hesped, came Sabdonei Havasam. There's so many Sabdonim, so many Rabbanim, and so many people. They describe the whole thing. From the words, you're able to see that they're not messing around. When a guy wants to testify, we trust him. But if he wants to make the woman mutter, and the Gemara is going to say, how do we know? If he demands from Bezdin that you should marry off the wife, we don't trust him. It's similar to that other Gemara, like a woman comes into Bezdin and says, oh, my husband's dead, give me my money, give me my ksuba. You see, I guess they were pretty dumb back then. I don't know. The guy wants to mess up the woman, so he comes in and says, marry off the wife, let her be. If I was a guy, I would just say, hey, the guy died, I saw him dead. Whatever happens, happens. Obviously, she's going to get married after. No, he can't control himself. He comes into Bezdin and he says, Hasiyu ishtoi. Based on my testimony, let her get married. That, Zo, Niskav, and we don't trust him. Mace, Stam, but if the guy comes in and says, listen, like we had the other day, I saw so-and-so die, and that's okay. If he wanted to make the woman mutter, then we don't trust him. They do say edus, but if he came to be made, then we trust him. Basically, he had a big fight with 85 skenim. He's saying the same thing. But the 85 didn't agree to him that that's okay. What's the case? So they say what happened was, if a non-Jew comes into Bezdin and he says, Rabbi Sai, so-and-so died, we don't trust him. But if the non-Jew is schmoozing on the bus, again, you hear him stop schmoozing. Yeah, terrible. I remember I used to work for this and this gid, and he was Nebuch Nifter. He's not trying to testify. So then we can use his words and use it to take away, because again, Rabbi said, don't forget, the whole sugi is talking about aguna here. How do we have this woman get married without a problem of aguna? So we have to be makel sometimes. And one of the clues we're going to do is we're going to take the words of a non-Jew, not a testimony. If he comes and is made in Bezdin, no, we're not going to trust. But since it's just words and he wasn't trying to do anything, he's just schmoozing, we're going to trust him. Man ikebe chavi chivoi. Guy comes, starts screaming. Man ikebe chivoi, man ikebe chivoi, shochiv chivoi. He comes into the city and starts screaming, where's Chivoi's house? He's dead, he's dead. And it reminded me that my side, I said it, I know, Fishel, I know. You'll tell me exactly when I said it. They asked one of these Russian soldiers, every day, another soldier had to go and notify that one of their people in the platoon, they died. So they took this klutz, and they didn't know how to do it. Like, they don't know, you have to be a professional. He didn't know how to do it. They said, you go notify so-and-so. So he goes, knocks on the door. Yeah, hi. are you the almana of so-and-so? She says, I'm not an almana. He goes, you want to bet? Okay, fine. So that's what this reminds me. This Meshugana, instead of saying it, so somebody died, you go nicely, there was an accident, there was a schwer accident. No, what happened? Something. No. He's screaming outside that everybody should hear through the windows. Chivai is dead. Okay, very nice. And based on the Russian soldiers screaming, they allowed, Rav Yosef said, the wife can get married. There's a person who's saying, Vailele Parashas Riza, there was an unbelievable horseman, he's an unbelievable soldier. The Habapumdisa, the Shachev, he died. Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef allowed the wife to get married. Vitema Rava, some say it was the Talmud of Rav Yosef, Rava Ludvisu. I would have a comment of Azel. Manikya Bei Chasa, Tava Chasa. Oi, is there anybody here in the city that knows Chasa? He drowned. Rav Nachman, Elikim. Elikim is a lashon of a shvua. Achloi kaver lechasa. It's an interesting lashon, but he says, I guarantee you the fish ate him up. Midibure de Rav Nachman, people heard him saying this. Also the visa the chasa of Insivil. She heard Rav Nachman saying, her husband is eaten up by fish. Nothing was left of him. So she figured, that's a psak halacha. I could get married. So nobody said anything to her. It was okay for her to get married. You see from here. Look, the guy drowned in a body of water that doesn't have edges. And we said it's also to get married based on the drowning if you don't recover the body. That's to go ahead and get married. Avali Nasiv, like this woman, she jumped ahead without asking any halachas. She didn't go to ask the Rav. She heard Rav Nachman say, "Oy, Nebuch, must have been eaten by fish." Avali Nasiv lemafkin lemine. If she goes ahead, then we're not going to make her get divorced. Ikadamri insavo Rav Nachman d'visu. Some say Rav Nachman married. Yeah, married. What does the article say? Answer Rav Nachman d'visu. He married her off. Married. He what? She could remarry. Okay. Shkoyach. Omar Chasa Gavri Rabbi Isay. He said, Chasa, this guy Chasa was a very chashuv person like the svara we had earlier. It means that the salag, if it's true that he perished, if he came up, salag means he came out of the water. People would know about it because he's a chashuv person. And as we said earlier, it doesn't matter what your status is, how chashuv you are. The evidin, you should, if a person goes ahead and gets married, we let her remain married. The chatchila loy, takanas chachamim, that she shouldn't get married. Rabbi Sai, have a wonderful day.